Welcome everyone to the Cheers to Chop cocktail class. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this charity. We're making two cocktails today. The first of which is going to be a rhubarb bee's knees. Our first thing we want to do to get started here is get our equipment ready, our mise en place, get everything in its place. So the equipment that we're going to need is a jigger, our shaker set. We're going to need a strainer, and ideally a mesh strainer as well. We're also going to need a glass to put it in. I'm using a rock glass today, but it could be any glass that you'd like. We'll set this aside for just a moment and grab our software. For the liquor side of things, we have gin. We're using an American dry gin. It is a little bit more citrus forward than the juniper forward London dry gins that you might be familiar with. We have limoncello, our rhubarb honey simple syrup, and lemon juice. The rhubarb honey simple syrup is made by taking rhubarb, cutting into pieces, still with the skin on, steeping it with hot water, and then as soon as you take it off the heat, you mix in some honey until it's diluted and dissolved. And then let it cool, and you have rhubarb honey simple syrup. And that's going to be a 1-to-1 water to honey ratio. So let's get started, get a drink in everyone's hand. Whenever you're making a cocktail, you want to start with your least expensive ingredient. That way, if something happens, you're not going to be throwing away your expensive gin. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our lemon juice. Now, the lemon juice is labeled, everything is labeled with how much goes into one drink. So you have multiple servings in each bottle. For the lemon juice, we're actually going to use lemon juice in both cocktails. This first one is a 1/2 ounce for the bee's knees cocktail. So start off here with a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice in our shaker. Next, the rhubarb honey simple syrup is going to be 3/4 of an ounce. We also don't want to put ice in straight away. Ice will be the last thing we add to our shaker. The reason is that if you are doing this and you get distracted, the phone calls, you drop something on the floor, you have something in the oven that needs to come out, your drink is going to start getting diluted. So you want to be able to stop what you're doing, get distracted, do something else, and then come back and add ice right when you're ready to shake it and finish the drink. The limoncello, we're going to be using a 1/2 ounce here. And then lastly, our gin is going to be 1.5 ounces. All right. From there, we're going to grab a little bit of ice. While we're at it, we're going to put a little ice in our glass. Now, my rule of thumb with ice is I want to make sure that it's covering the liquid that I have in the shaker. So ice on, make sure your shaker is secure, and then we'll be shaking sideways. I find that shaking sideways gives you the best results. Take our strainer and our mesh strainer right on top. There we go. We're finished with our cocktail, and then we're going to do a little bit of a garnish. So you have a lemon in your kit. You can do just a nice wheel. One thing that I like to do to sort of take it to another level is brulee the wheel. So you take a little bit of sugar, drop it on the top, and we're going to hit that with a torch. And this just gives it an added caramely note, sort of like that burnt sugar nose that you get from a creme brulee. I'm just going to sort of lay that right on top of our cocktail here. Cheers. The rhubarb kind of gives it a little bit of tart flavor to the added to the honey. It pairs well with the acidity from the lemon. Hope you're all enjoying that. Set aside for a minute and get to our second cocktail of the night. And that is going to be a strawberry smash. So our equipment set is going to be very similar. We have a jigger, a shaker set, strainer, a Hawthorne strainer, and a mesh strainer. We're going to use a rocks glass again. And then our software for this cocktail is going to be, we have bourbon, we have a strawberry puree, we have agave simple syrup, and lemon juice. Now, I sort of did the work for you on the strawberry part, but I wanted to show you what you would do if you were looking to make this with fresh strawberries. So we have a couple fresh strawberries here, maybe 2 or 3 for each cocktail, depending on how large the strawberries are. And I'm going to do it in this glass, mixing glass, to sort of show what we're looking for. When you're muddling, you want to muddle with just a little bit of liquid. So I'm going to chop the tops off the strawberries and cut them in half. You have to have some liquid in there, but not too much. So we're going to take, in this just demo part of it, we're going to take the amount of lemon juice that we would have in the cocktail and use that to muddle. So this cocktail only needs 1/4 ounce of lemon juice. We're going to have that right on top. And use that as our liquid. And we're just sort of pressing down into the glass. Use the liquid that's there. And you want to make a bit of a puree. Now, depending on where your strawberries are in the season, it's still a touch early right now, especially with the winter that we had. You may want to add a little bit of sweetener to this, not necessary. And as the season goes, you will need to add less sugar. The strawberries are going to be a little bit sweeter. But you want to be able to adjust your recipe accordingly for strawberries that are just a little less sweet. So if we were making it fresh with whole strawberries, that's what we would use. And we would just build our cocktail right on top of this. For purposes today, though, the strawberry puree has already been done for you to make it a little bit easier. I wasn't sure if everyone had a muddler. Just sort of cut that step out. So with our cocktail here, we are going to be starting with our lemon juice. So same thing again, 1/4 ounce of lemon juice. I'm going to use 1/4 ounce of agave simple syrup. I'm going to use 1/2 ounce of strawberry puree. And then we're going to use 2 ounces of bourbon. Okay. And the last ingredient here is going to be some mint. So with mint, what I like to do, I do not like to muddle mint. I don't really like pieces floating in my drinks. I know that might be in the minority there, but that's just my preference. So what I like to do with mint is really just sort of smack it to wake it up, get the aromatics going. And then we're going to shake it with ice and get the flavors out of it that way as well. That way you don't get little green pieces. You don't get the bitterness from the leaves. You're really getting the aromatics and the bright flavor that is intended from this cocktail. Next step is going to be ice, both for our shaker and for our glass. secure our lid over top. Now with drinks like this where we have sort of bits and pieces, I like to use a mesh strainer. I don't like pieces floating in my drinks. Okay. And then our garnish for this cocktail is going to just be a fanned out strawberry. So we're going to take the top off the strawberry, slide it, do a half long ways, and then sort of do a couple of slices down, and just sort of press the strawberry out, and you're gonna get a nice fan, and you can lay that right on top. Cheers for the strawberry smash. Now it's still a liquor-forward cocktail. You still get that bite from the bourbon, but you get sweetness, you get mint, and I think a delicious spring cocktail. Hope you enjoyed the cocktails. Thank you very much for joining me. It is again a pleasure to be a part of this event. I hope to see you over at the restaurants. Thank you very much.